Hi, it's me again, being the alternative Jerry. Um, have nothing in particular to talk about today. It's really a little bit more about my musings about the world and our place in it, and thinking about how difficult it can be if you are a sensitive soul in this universe that is not always kind to sensitive people. I had a thought one day. When I was thinking about the way I feel about fashion, about surrounding myself with beautiful things, I was thinking, where did it start? What was its genesis? And I suspect, in no small measure, it had a lot to do with the way I grew up. My mother, as I say, you couldn't have had a better mother than I had. She was a wonderful, nurturing, caring human being who had absolutely no sense of style or, just this. I don't want to say the social graces because that's not true, but the home and the way she dressed me and the way she dressed herself for that matter, it was as if one had to cover one's body to walk around and be okay. But it had very little to do with anything else. And I think as a child, I remember the difficulties I faced on a couple of days. I had a little girlfriend in kindergarten who was an only child, and I was not. And her mother would buy her beautiful dresses and little outfits, and she always looked so terrific. And I remember one day going to school and she was wearing one of her brand new outfits. I can conjure it up to this day. The skirt was black and it had a two-tiered ruffle trim, and the blouse matched the trim. And the trim was a yellow background with flowers and leaves on it. And she looked so pretty. And I can't remember if it was the same day, but the thoughts come to me tangled up in each other. And I remember going to school one day. My mother had dressed me in a plaid skirt and a plaid blouse. The plaid skirt was in shades of pink and blue and white, and the plaid shirt was in shades of purple and green and whatever other colors, and they clashed badly. And I had to go to school like that. And I remember being horrified as a little child. So, well, I think you need to kind of round out the story. I think you need to know a little bit more as well. My father's two sisters had an upscale kind of dress shop, so they had beautiful clothing. And sometimes when we went to visit, they would still be at work, so we would go to the store. I had no greater joy as a child than walking into that store, and they had these huge magnets. And I was allowed to take the magnet and walk around and pick up all the pins that were on the floor from when they were doing their alterations. So I loved doing it. I loved being in the back room where they had the two Singer sewing machines with the treadle, and wanting to learn how to sew. They had this backboard above it that had the angled huge spools of thread in all different colors, and to me that was a world of magic. The clothing that people would try on was beautiful clothing. It was absolutely gorgeous. And I remember at the age of 14, I had to go to a dance, and I had nothing to wear, and I was allowed to get a dress from their shop. I remember it was navy blue with a tight waist and a full skirt, and it's I don't know. I'm trying to remember what the fabric was made of. It was like a taffeta. And I felt so special in that dress. It had a print, and I just felt very, very elegant. But going back now to when I was a little girl, there was another time I remember that my aunts had gotten me a couple of outfits, whether it was for my birthday or some other occasion, I don't recall. But I loved them because they were just so pretty. And I remember one day my mother dressed me in a skirt. It had a skirt with suspenders. Not suspenders, but it had the like suspenders that went over to hold the skirt up. Because at the time my anatomy didn't do a whole lot for it. It was kind of a peachy salmony color, and she dressed me in a shirt that had a square neckline and short puffy sleeves, and the neckline had a print that it was a pretty blouse, and it was a nice skirt. They just didn't go together. The blouse was white, and the trim on the blouse was red, yellow, and blue, I believe, like a dark blue, royal or deeper. And again, with this peachy salmon skirt, it just didn't go. And at that very, very early age, I knew that was not what I wanted to look like. I knew that was not somehow right in my world. So I don't remember any more really significant memories that connect to that. But when I grew up and when I had money of my own, I remember in the early days, I really couldn't afford a whole lot. But what I could do was twice a year, I would save up, and twice a year, there was a store that carried very lovely outfits. They were Geist and Geist, and they were made very well. And I used to try the things on, and they would have a sale twice a year. And I would go in and buy an outfit each season. And I collected them, and I actually wore them probably for 25 years. They were made very well. You could mix and match pieces, and it became kind of the foundation of my whole wardrobe and my whole love for fashion, for beauty, I became really passionately involved in design. Interior design is a great love of mine. And anything that just makes the world visually lovely. There is enough in this world that is not lovely that we have to live with and live through. But at least if we can surround ourselves with the really pretty things, makes it nicer. So it's funny that I was having all those thoughts, and I decided I was going to just put them out there and let you know just a tiny little bit more about who I am and why I have this, I don't know whether you want to call it a passion or an obsession with beautiful things, no matter where they go in my world, whether they wind up, hold on a second, I just did it again, whether they wind up in my world, in my life, or on my body. Just a thought for a sort of dismal day. Take care. I hope your day is great. I'll see you soon. And I'm still waiting for my other wig, the one that I ordered before this one. I actually have had the nerve to wear this out 3 different times. Every time I do, I feel terrible when I first start out, and I feel like, who is this? And I have had people say to me, doesn't look like you. One of the girls in my office today said to me, I didn't recognize you. And she said, it's not so easy, you know. So I said to her, it's quite all right. I didn't recognize me either when I first put it on. But I'm getting a little bit bolder with it. I'm getting a little bit braver. And I'm going to play a little bit more. So have to see how they all play out in the end. Once again, have a great day. Love to visit with you. Take care. Bye-bye.